Hey, welcome to the Overseer Pamphlet. My name is Rob, and I'm the host of this one-man show, coming to you every Monday, 6 a.m. UK time. And today, it's finally time to get into like some movie business once again. It's been a while since I talked about movies specifically, but I think it's like we're approaching July, and it's going to be like a very important month, I guess, for the movie business overall, but also like for a very specific genre. So I'm going to be talking basically about the big summer blockbuster face-off of July. Three big blockbuster movies are all opening, I think, roughly like a couple of weeks apart from each other, like 1 or 2 weeks apart from each other. And the movies are, of course, Superman, the new Superman movie, the reboot of Superman, then Jurassic World Rebirth, and then Fantastic Four First Steps. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about there, and the competition is hot, and it's important to also see what's the general trend with movies, since the business overall, the movie industry has been, slowly, I don't want to say dying off, but it's definitely not as it used to be because of COVID, because of streaming, because of all these different things. But this year has been very slow, and there haven't been like many hits, I think, at the box office, apart from a couple of movies. But it's been very slow, and we're already halfway through a year, and still we're missing a big movie. Possibly, I guess, yeah. There's one, I guess, that happened, but I wouldn't really classify it as like a 4 quadrant, movie in that sense. But I'll talk about it. But before we get into that, songs of the week. We're here. So, what do I want to include in this week's list? First of all, Gabriella by Cat's Eye. So this song is their second single from their upcoming EP, and it's basically like, I want to say like a repurposing of like Señorita by Camila Cabello, but it's like that genre of music basically. Like it's that, it sounds very 2000 and what was that, 18, 17, something like that. And not, I'm still deciding whether it's like a good thing or not. It definitely sounds very summery, and I do definitely find myself replaying the song a lot, and I do like the production and the beat and the bass in here and some of the elements, but it sounds very outdated in a certain way, and yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I think overall it's a good song. I think it's an interesting, it's a good track for the summer, and I do think it at least it showcases a bit more of their vocals and everything else. And the video is very funny. Go watch it. It's like inspired by like a telenovela situation. Very, very cool. There's a bridge in Spanish, which I'm really happy about. Daniela gets to sing in Spanish. That's very, very cool. Yeah, I mean, hands off, Gabriella. There's just one single lyric that I also really like. I think that like it's the second verse. It starts like skin amaretto. I bet you can taste their skin or something. I don't know, something like that. And I found that lyric to be very cunt. Thank you very much. There's like a couple of like cute, like very interesting lyrics, I would say. Like it's definitely not a typical English K-pop song that doesn't make much sense in English. It's actually decently written, I would say. So that surprised me, but I think it's something that I would actually I'm already replaying quite a bit, and it's something that definitely is for the summer. So slay, I guess, period. Yeah, okay. Then what other songs do I have? I have A-Lister by Romy Mars. This is more of like an interesting, like slow tempo summer vibe type of track, like more like cigarettes after sex type of situation. Here, I do like it a lot. I think I find it very relaxing, and I think it's a very nice track for the summer again, as I said. But just when you want to like chill out and not necessarily like be in the doing things, going places type of mood. But when you just like want to chill out and listen to like a very nice song. Don't know much about the artist herself, but period, I guess. Always up for a new discovery, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I would say give it a go, give it a spin. And then I do want to talk about Bad News by Hiko. I think this is like K-pop R&B type of track. In that sense, I would describe it like that. It's like more. It's definitely Korean, like there's Korean lyrics and everything else. But I like the voice delivery of this person. It sounds very unique and very like high pitched and interesting. I don't know. It's very cool track. I would say definitely give it a go if you're interested in finding some new tracks in that sense. I almost wanted to put a Pitbull song, but I'm not going to because I'm not listening to it. But the only reason I'm bringing this up is because this past weekend something crazy happened to me me and my friends basically. So this is also prompted by some of my other friends who were not there with me and asked me to like talk about this on the podcast. So here it fucking is. Y'all better tune up for this. So what happened? We went to this like the reason why I bring Pitbull up is like I think me and two of my other friends were at this bar and Simmons bar in Soho, and they were playing Pitbull at some point. I don't know. I think we were just like having a little fun, as me and my friends do all the time. Whenever we go out, we just like tear it down on the dance floor. It's just the way it is for us. So a lot of fun. We were just like hanging out and just doing the most. Simmons, that one was like a very small bar, to be fair, so there wasn't much space to actually do much, but we were not afraid of that, I guess. Then we went out for like a little cigarette break, as we usually do, and these two guys approached us. Well, I guess we just like randomly make conversation, like because we were just like we were hearing each other's conversations, and at a certain point we could turn around and start laughing or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly how we started off the combo, but one thing leads to another. Me and this other friend of mine, Clara, we and the whole situation, we started like improvising on the bit, and like we pretend like she's from Florida, and I like start helping her out, I guess. I don't know, like we kept on going. We were like, you know what, I'm going to like we're going down together, we're gonna like go down with this lie together. So we kept on lying. She kept on faking a Floridian accent, and I kept on like adding to the story, saying that I was the person that she was visiting and all that stuff, and that she was just here for a short while. We basically got them, like they believed us for a good 10 minutes, and then we were like, why not we just kidding, all that stuff. We impressed them, I guess, with that little bit that we did. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, so basically these two guys, we keep on chatting at least for a good half an hour. We said like we like going out all the time and all that stuff. They said that us too and all that. And I was like, oh no way. We should like if you like they say, I think if we meet each other again, it means it's fate and we have to go out and all that stuff and we can exchange socials. They were playing hard to get in that sense, like to exchange socials and all that stuff, which to me is not a big deal because I've exchanged my socials with like people that I literally met in less than 5 minutes or something. So yeah, but whatever. So we kept on chatting, and then he said, like, oh, we're going to this other bar. It's a very like not exclusive, but it's very hard to get into. You have to queue up for a long time, and most of the times you have to pay and all that stuff. And one of these guys, then another friend of theirs also joins in. So it's like three of us and three of them, but all very different people. One of them allegedly a half a million earner in that sense, doing several different jobs and. Quote unquote engineer. Clara would correct me and say like he's a technician, which he is. Love you. And then another one was like I think also another, like, was it a mechanical engineer? I can't remember what he said. Either way, and the other one was a jiu-jitsu teacher or something. I can't remember. Honestly, the randomest encounter ever, but they were a very good vibe. Like, we really vibed with them a lot, and so we kept on exchanging, you know, information on where we're going next and all that stuff. And then we said, like, oh, we are going to this place Friday. We should come as well. We should buy your tickets and all that stuff. And so one thing is on. So basically, we are supposedly meeting up with them Friday. Anyways, but at some point, this guy, one of the three guys, says, like, oh, I know everyone at this club. So we're going there. And I was like, oh. We all looked at each other like, we need to go get into that fucking bar for free. I don't fucking care. This is gonna happen. And it did happen, because he then eventually, we kept on cracking jokes. It was just one thing after another, and basically we literally walk into this bar, skipping the entire queue, getting stamped on the wrists and all that stuff, and we literally felt the most VIP people ever, I guess, for one single night. And yeah, so it was just crazy shit. And in all of this, I just added them into a group chat where all my other friends are at. So they were all saying, like, who the fuck are these people? What's going on? It's like, it was very random of us, very funny, honestly, and I'd do it again. Anyways, this is all to say, like, I'm not gonna put that Pitbull song in because they noticed us while we were like dancing to that song, I think, specifically. But I'm not gonna put it into the playlist because I actually don't listen to the song that much. It's one of, I can't remember if it was Fireball, whatever it was. Either way, slaps in a club. Normally wouldn't listen to it, so whatever. Anyways, let's get into the actual story, which is, the 3 big movies of the summer, allegedly. Allegedly. Anyways, so we started off with, like, I guess the summer season should have been, like, kicked off by the Thunderbolts, but it didn't really particularly do well at the box office, so we haven't had a proper hit. Maybe I would venture to say that Lilo and Stitch was more of a summer kickoff type of movie, but then again, this, like, Lilo and Stitch, the live action, and also the Fortnite movie, which is, by the way, the only movie that made $1 billion this year as of now. I wouldn't call them, like, blockbusters necessarily. Like, they're more like family movies. So we haven't had a proper blockbuster movie yet as of today that actually has done, significantly well at the box office. So everyone is, like, entire Hollywood is betting on one of these 3 movies to, like, actually do well. I think personally that it's gonna be a tough one for each one of them. Spoiler alert, because, like, I think they're releasing so close to each other, and they're probably going to like cannibalize each other eventually, because you cannot, like, also in terms of, like, premium screenings and all that stuff, like, people are going to, like, maximum go one time for each if they really can afford to go to the movies like that, or they're just gonna choose one of them and that's it. But I think for the multiple viewing situation, I think they're not gonna have as many because people might want to check out all 3 of them or a couple of them. So yeah, not ideal, I would say, not ideal. But either way, the first one to come out in terms of order, like, of what's coming first, is Superman, the new Superman movie, the reboot of the DC universe. Is the first movie of this rebooted universe, and it is entirely directed and written by James Gunn, who used to work at, if you didn't know, Marvel. He directed and written. He wrote all, like, all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, which have done particularly well. Like, they've done quite well at the box office. They've I believe, never reached $1 billion at the box office, but they've still done quite well. Either way, James Gunn has now become, like, the head of the DC Studios, DC Universe, and so, but contrary to, like, Kevin Feige at Marvel, he is a creative first, and he then became a director. So he's putting his face on every single piece of advertisement you could possibly think of in this movie, like interviews, photos. He tweets a lot. He replies to fans in comments, which is, like, a very interesting behavior and very odd behavior for a director, honestly, too, and, like, a studio executive to have. Like, not even big directors do this shit. But anyways, that's beyond, like, it's not even a complaint necessarily, but that's beyond my, like, observation. Either way, Superman is starring like the actor who's playing Superman is David Corenswet, and then you have Rachel Brosnahan who's playing, I think, Lois, and Nicholas Hoult playing what was it? Oh my god, the bald guy basically. Oh my god, Lex Luthor. Anyways, so I think that some of the from what we've seen, at least I remember that when the first trailer came out back in December or something, it did amazing numbers. It was incredible. It was striking a lot of interest and all that stuff. I think the person who worked on the Barbie advertisement was working on that movie at the moment, like in terms of ads and all that stuff. Like, he was really knocking it out of the park, and then he was fired on the spot, and you literally could see for the beginning of this year the change of pace and how the ads went, and wasn't as hot as it, like, first, like, came out of knocked it out of the park. But anyways, yeah, so at least from the trailers we could sort of tell that this movie is going to be a bit more on the Marvel, like, silly comedic type of style, which I don't know if this is like something that fits necessarily the DC brand. I mean, usually the DC brand is, and Warner Brothers as a whole, because Warner Brothers owns a DC and HBO and all that stuff. They usually have always worked the best when they like counter program what Marvel and like Disney do. Like, Marvel usually more lighthearted and more like comical and all that stuff, while DC seems like to work the very best when it's like more serious and more dark in tone. Like, and then one of the more glaring examples is the Batman with Robert Pattinson, for example, or any other, the Dark Knight and all this stuff. They all worked pretty well because they were, sort of a different flavor for the superhero formula, I guess. And I mean, the only difference here, I guess, is like it's Superman, and Superman is not necessarily like a very dark character in that sense, but I think Superman can be taken seriously, and it should, usually, if that was a brand, it would have been, done a bit more interesting. But maybe that's what the character itself needs, because Superman has never been particularly famous in the comic book space. It's never sold as much as, like, for example, the Batman or Spider-Man or any of the big like comic book characters. Even the movies themselves have never particularly done super well. I think Man of Steel was a moderate success, I would say, but the budget for this movie is like $225 million. So this movie, roughly to break even, I think should reach around, I think people were saying like 600 million or like 400 million or something like that. I'm sure it won't have any like much problem doing that, but to be fair, if you look at the other superhero movies that have come out recently, the Marvel movies, they've all this year reached maximum like 400, almost 500 million. So, but that could also be that people are having problems with Marvel itself rather than the comic book formula and the superhero formula. We'll see. This will be actually a very interesting experiment for everyone in general, for Hollywood, but also for the superhero movies, to see like if it actually is superhero fatigue or if it's just like a Marvel problem that needs to be fixed. Very curious to know how it's gonna go. I think overall the predictions for this movie in terms of box office opening are the biggest one out of the three. So there's, I think, supposedly is between 90 and 125 million in the first weekend, and that's a pretty good number. I would say definitely better than what the other Marvel movies have done this year. And I mean, I think if we got a how to say, like a competitive movie from the other side, like from the DC universe, we can also hope, us Marvel fans as well, that maybe that can ignite a bit of a competition in the Marvel camp to like do better and to get back on track. We'll see how it goes. As far as casting goes, I find David Corenswet to be very well cast as Superman. I think he looks incredible in the role. Very good in terms of, acting wise as well. It seems like it fits the role pretty well. However, I may have some problems with the role itself. I think from at least what I've seen again from the trailers, it seems like Superman has been like turned into like a bro almost, or like a you know, definitely trying to appeal to the bros. Let's just say that. Not that there's any problem with that. Maybe that's what the movie needs and like what the character needs. But yeah, I don't know. I really I'm intrigued by the movie. I definitely would want to see it. I think the smart move that's been done also in this movie was to introduce Crypto in the movie immediately, like the dog. I think that helps with the family element a bit more, and maybe can possibly attract more kids to the movie. We are hoping for that, I guess. But yeah, overall, I have a big question mark, and I think it's a big question mark that everyone has been, thinking about. To be fair, Superman is at least overall, an established, trademarked, character in that sense. Like in the sense of people know who Superman is, even if they're not fans of it or like don't follow the movies or whatever. You have surely heard of Superman 100%. Like it is a very well-known character overall, and that already helps the movie quite a lot, I think. Compared to like the other the other three movies, which is like the Marvel Fantastic Four movie. Fantastic Fours are, I would say, popular, but they're not as widely well known as Superman, in my opinion. Like in a general consciousness, in that sense, in general public's consciousness. But either way, I think this movie is striking in terms of pre-sales and everything else, also as the best one, and I think people are rooting for this movie in like at least a big part of the internet is rooting for this movie because they want DC to finally do well and to finally be able to compete with Marvel. And I personally think in terms of business and everything else that if it actually does very well, it's very welcomed, because we, as I said, we need healthy competition, and I think we need some sort of balance. Yeah. So, but again, let's see how it goes. This is, as of now, the predicted winner. Not my most anticipated out of the three, I would say. Probably my second to most anticipated out of the three. It's coming like in second spot, but yeah, I could see why it would do pretty well. We'll see. We'll see also how reactions are from the fans and everything else, and how many people actually turn up for the movie. Now, the second one coming out right after it is Jurassic World Rebirth. And oh wait, maybe it was the other one. Oh shit. I think it's the other way around. Sorry. Superman comes out right after Jurassic World. Jurassic World is coming out like on July 2nd in the United States, and Superman is coming in the United States on July 11th. Anyways, Jurassic World Rebirth is another sort of like a new trilogy starter in that sense, after the the Jurassic World, the first trilogy of the Jurassic World, and it comes out after like Jurassic World Dominion and all that stuff. This is a new trilogy directed by a new director, I guess, for the Jurassic franchise, Gareth Edwards, who famously, I think, also directed movies like Godzilla, Rogue One, The Creator, all that stuff. So he's niche director, but has done quite successful movies, I would say, overall. And it seems for this reiteration of the Jurassic World, he's going for a bit of like a return to like the horror format that was very much present in the first ever trilogy of Jurassic Park back in the 90s. So yeah, I mean, it's starring Marshall Ali, Scarlett Johansson, and Jonathan Bailey as the main characters, and I think Scarlett Johansson is supposed to be actually the lead in this movie. So pretty cool stuff. Very interesting movie. I would say overall, this movie might be tracking as the worst one out of the three, and I think it might be because it came out fairly, quickly. Like there wasn't enough time to like miss the how to say, like the brand. I mean, it's been 3 years to be fair, but I think I'm not sure exactly what it is in this one. I don't know if it's like missing a proper, box office draw, like Chris Pratt was for the other trilogy. I'm not sure Scarlett Johansson or Jonathan Bailey or any of these three people are able to like properly sell tickets. Maybe that's what it is. Also, maybe the like very strong horror element here and the inspiration from Alien as well is sort of going against what the whole point of the movie is supposed to be, which is like a summer blockbuster but more like family oriented. So I think the strong horror element might be like making families rethink about whether they want to go or not to see this movie. Yeah, so not entirely sure what the problem might be with this one. It seems like a fun movie, to be fair. It seems like there's a lot of cool shots and a lot of cool VFX situation going on. Always curious about the new type of dinosaurs that they bring in, but it doesn't seem to me that there is, at least from the trailer, something that is particularly captivating, I would say, about the movie. I'm there for the acting and everything. Like I think that all three actors are incredibly talented actors, but I'm not sure if they're like able to bring like audiences into the theaters basically. And honestly, I haven't seen much even of the press tour, to be fair. I've just seen like the red carpets and all that stuff, but I don't know, maybe it's just not capturing the general attention. Maybe, I don't know. It's just interesting to see how this is gonna go overall. So yeah, I mean, Jurassic World movies have been very successful previously. Like they've all done, I think, $1 billion. So it's interesting to see like that it's tracking so low in pre-sales and in first weekend predictions. I'm not entirely sure, and I think also again the movie might do even worse than than what it's hoped for, I guess, because of again the competition between the three movies. The budget for this one is 180 million, which is like less than 40 million less than like the Superman movie. But yeah, so interesting. Anyways, and then the third one coming out for last is the Fantastic Four First Steps from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's coming out 25th of July, and so I think basically Jurassic World and Superman are going to be battling it out until this movie comes out. We'll see if that's too late for this movie to come out, and people are going to be tired of it, like are going to be tired in general, like going to the movies and won't purchase a ticket for the Fantastic Four, or if instead being the last ones to come out, I guess might be instead beneficial for them. But yeah, I think this movie, personally, for me, is the most exciting one because I do actually love the Fantastic Four. If you like The Incredibles, I think you would love the Fantastic Four because the Fantastic Four and The Incredibles are practically the same thing. It's a sort of like a family or like a team of four, and they all combine their powers and like work together to stop whatever evil comes their way. And I think this overall has also a very interesting cast. Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby is Sue Storm, and then we have Joseph Quinn playing Johnny Storm, and then Evan Moss playing the Thing. And I think it's a stellar casting. I think the most compelling two out of the four are actually Vanessa Kirby and Joseph Quinn as the Storm siblings. They look honestly so well cast and so charismatic on screen. From the trailers that I've seen, they all look incredible. They just give me the feels as well. Like, they just, whenever I saw the trailers, like, they reminded me of like those good old Marvel movies when they introduced for the first time new superheroes to the big screen. So it seems like an incredible introductory movie for this team, I guess, and these new superheroes. Also, the director here is Matt Shakman, who famously directed WandaVision, and you can definitely see the footprint, I guess, like the signature, I guess, over this whole movie. It has that 70s, 80s, like period piece inspired aesthetic. It's very, very cool. Even the costumes for the superheroes are very unique and very specific to them, which I really like. And I don't know, overall it seems like a very, very well curated movie. I like also all these like 70s elements as well. Very cool. And I think there's also there's a lot of interesting. I think that the villains are actually more interesting than the other movies. Like, here you have the Silver Surfer and Galactus coming back, making their debut in the MCU, I guess. But Silver Surfer here is a woman, and like, the whole thing about Galactus is that he devours world and all that stuff. Allegedly, Galactus is actually coming to Earth because Sue Storm in this one is giving birth to Sue and Reed's firstborn son, Franklin. So, and apparently he's supposed to be like a very powerful baby, like just like the Incredibles, like Jack. So he's interested in like, the powers of this baby as well. So they have to protect their own family, but also protect the world. And it's just like, I think overall, yeah, that's all the elements that I really like about a movie, about an action movie, but also, a team up movie in that sense, and a superhero movie. And also, I really always loved their powers overall. Their power combinations are just incredible. Like, Johnny Storm being the Human Torch, and like, lighting up in fire and flying and all that stuff, and then the Thing being like a rock, a big rock basically. But then you have Reed Richards being Elastic Man basically, and then Sue Storm having telekinesis and telekinetic powers and all that stuff. Very cool, becoming invisible. She's the Invisible Woman. So very 70s inspired retrofuturistic sort of movie as well. So I'm very excited. I think to me it seems the most interesting in terms of theme and in terms of direction and concept overall. But I am very scared about how it's going to perform, because it's going to be a lot of competition, and also Marvel movies haven't been doing the best. I think there's a lot of negativities surrounding Marvel for whatever reason. I love Thunderbolts. I think it was an incredible movie. I'm so sad people didn't go see it, because it was incredible. Every person who's gone to see it has talked highly about that movie. So I am sad that this is happening, but I love what they're putting out, to be fair. So I'll be seated for this one personally. And also, maybe it will be having some benefits from Comic-Con, because this is like sort of doing the same thing that Deadpool and Wolverine did last year. It came out right after Comic-Con, and it used Comic-Con as like a launching pad for the movie itself. So we shall see if it works here as well. I hope it does. I hope a lot of like comic book fans who go to like San Diego Comic-Con get hooked up and go. So we'll see. But overall, competition is stiff. I expect Superman to do the best in terms of general audiences, but I would really want to have Fantastic Four do really well, and also because it's leading into the next Avengers movie coming out next year. So very curious to see how it goes. We'll see. Anyways, that's all for today. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep on slaying, I guess. Bye.